Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, White Shot. We are high atop a beautiful morning here in Denton, Texas. I am joined by my panel of analysts, as always, Josh Ortega, Houston Hall, Matthew McDowell. Fellas, UNT coming off the bye week. We talked a little bit on last week's show just about some of the games that we'd missed with Navy and all that. Now we just kind of got to take a look at a state of the program, if you will. The football team's in a great position, one loss heading into late November. There's a path still for the college football playoff. It is very realistic. It is something that is worth discussing. But first, we have to sort out how are we going to make it there, and to do that, we have to get to the ACC or the AAC title, and that one is a mess right now. There are 4 teams tied at the top, kind of, with one conference loss. South Florida and Tulane are ahead of us, and we don't have the head-to-head against either of them, so we need a little bit of help. Even if UNT wins out, they don't control their own destiny. So, guys, what is the vibe? What's the confidence level that UNT gets into the American Conference title at all?
I think when you look at kind of the schedule coming forward in this, you look at the teams, and UAB and Rice are 2 teams that are not the best in the conference, right around middle to lower pack. You have Temple, who's also like middle of the pack, but they're actually a really good football team. But at least, you're not playing a Tulane in that, which, kind of helps you and hurts you at the same time. Again, we need that head-to-head against them. But again, we control our own destiny. If we can win out, that's the best case scenario. Obviously, the rest of it is kind of out of our hands at that point. But if you can control what you have in your hands right there, it's a really good spot. So again, those matchups are not the best matchups in terms of just pushing that forward, but win out, win out.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I think it's important that we got to come off of a bye week, right here entering the home stretch of the season. It's a big chance for some of those guys that are a little bit banged up to maybe get healthy, like he was talking about too. Very winnable games on the road, and then Temple, pretty good football team, but at least we got them at home,
Yeah.
So that's the home game for us. So absolutely a chance for us to be able to win out, and that would be big. Imagine at the start of the year you said we're going to go 11-1. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'd be all jumping for joy. So now it's just a matter of can we get the help we need, and like you said, why we don't have the head-to-head on South Florida or Tulane, but with Tulane we didn't actually play them, so they don't have the head-to-head on us either. So it'll be interesting to see how the AAC plays out that tiebreaker at the end of the season if both of us win out.
Yeah, what is the protocol there for the Tulane situation? Like I'm not familiar. Why does Tulane have the tiebreaker over us right at this moment? Do any of y'all know?
I wish I could tell you.
I don't. When you look at the American Conference website and you look at the tiebreaker rules, they are incredibly convoluted. It is not clear cut. They have a coin flip stipulation in there saying, "Hey guys, if we can't figure this out, we're just gonna flip a coin. Someone's got to go."
Those odds are crazy.
And so I don't understand why Tulane has the tiebreaker at the moment, but all you need to know is that they do, and we don't play them. So if they went out and we went out, Tulane would go in over North Texas.
Well, here's my confusion is on here, it has them listed above us, but if you saw back to what the American Conference posted on social media this past week, it had us over them.
Really?
Yes, it had us as like second behind Navy. And so I was like,
well, we shouldn't be second behind Navy.
Yeah,
well, that's what I thought, because South Florida has the win on us.
Well, the only reason they might do that is because both USF and Tulane are 2-loss teams, but they only have 1 loss in conference like this. That's why I'm a little confused about it, because we're 8-1, and both Tulane and USF are 7-2.
Right.
So I don't know what the tiebreaker is with the conference rules, but I know overall record, we have a better record than them. So I'm just as confused as everybody is at home, and clearly everybody is on the panel. But I don't know. It's pretty jacked up, and I think UNT should be over Tulane. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, we'll have to look in to see exactly what the language is. I tried to look at it, and it's just not clear at all. It's very confusing, so we'll get a better answer. Where is the stumble spot for this UNT football team? We have 3 games to close it out. At UAB, at Rice, Temple at home. 2 of those teams I think are probably 2 of the 3 worst in the American. I think Charlotte would be in that group as well. Rice and UAB are really bad. So where is the stumble spot, if there is one at all? I assume it would have to be Temple.
Yeah, I think it is Temple. It's safe to assume that it's Temple. I mean, they have 11.1 yards per reception. They can move the ball. I mean, that's one thing I think if the stumble spot really is. Just because Rice and UAB are so bad, like that's one of the things that the stumble spot is there against Temple. Especially because it's Black Friday. Again, that says enough what you have to know about that. Then it's a primetime game on ESPN. At home, last home game of the season, that says it all right there. That kind of spells out. That is the stumble spot.
I absolutely agree with that, and not to contradict myself, because I know I was just saying that it's a plus to get Temple at home, which it is. Obviously, I'd rather play them at home than away, but I do still think that Temple is the stumble spot. I think they're a rung up on the ladder compared to those other 2 teams that we still got to face. And like that game moving from Saturday to Friday, I don't think that bodes well in our favor at all. The good news is I believe that should be senior day, right? So in theory, there should be a load of seniors there ready to, give it their all for their last game at DATCU. But I think if there's a stumble spot, it'd have to be that Temple game.
I mean, I agree. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it would be Temple. They are the best team that we are going to play for the rest of the season. But I mean, going on the road to UAB, they beat Memphis. I mean,
That's true.
That's why they play the game. Anybody can lose to anyone on any day. I would say if we were to lose a game, it would be to Temple. But let's not sleep on this UAB team. I agree that they're in the bottom of the barrel with Rice and Charlotte. But I'm confident about going on the road and facing kind of these lower tier teams and maybe getting punched in the mouth because we've already faced that. It's already happened. Going against Charlotte, we were down 17-7 early. Then we just blow them out and even cover the spread of 25.5. So I think we've been in that position already. And under Eric Morris, I think we're ready to prevail. And I don't know why we're talking about losing. I'm ready to win out. I'm ready to go 11-1 and tiebreaker some weird way into the American Conference Championship.
I agree. The UNT schedule dynamic has been favorable for them all season. You got all of your tough games at home, you got them coming off of byes, and you got all of your more winnable games, more manageable ones on the road, such as a UAB, such as a Rice. Those games would be much more tricky if you're playing them at their venues. If you had to travel out to Alabama or you had to go to Houston to play Rice. So UNT's got all the scheduling dynamics in their favor. Let's talk a little bit bigger picture, though. Let's talk broader, UNT football. Eric Morris, head coach, he had a phenomenal season so far, of course, one of the best seasons, if not the best in UNT football history. His name has been a hot commodity in the college football coaching searches. Matthew, you mentioned to me today that he's now the odds-on favorite to be the next head coach at Oklahoma State. Can we keep this guy around, man? I don't know if it's possible, but can we keep him?
I think the hardest thing is, we know that the Sharks are going to be circling, right? The blood's already in the water. And not that it's anything that in terms of a bad thing, right? This is what happens in college football. Jobs open up, guys go to power programs from smaller programs. It's just what happens, right? And, the adjustment is, could we pay him and keep him around? Yeah, that's what they're trying to do right now. That's what's really happening right now. But whether or not, it's not that Eric Morris doesn't want to stay in Denton, it's whether another job opens up, like Oklahoma State, which he is the betting favorite and has been the guy that has been swirling around that job. That's a big job. It's not a premier job like LSU or Florida, but it's a much bigger job and a step up above where we're at. Look, in one day in my lifetime, I hope that this UNT job is a premier job in college football. At this point in time, it's not that. So we have to worry about him, potentially leaving and then finding our successor. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think the most important thing is just finishing out the season and focusing on that right now.
I liked what you said about cross that bridge when we get there, because I think that's exactly what's going through his mind. I think it's really hard to get a reading on him right now, just because coming into the season, we probably thought we start winning 9, 10, 11 games. He's going to be going to the first P4 school that comes calling.
Yeah.
But, it's hard to get a reading on him right now because he's focused on finishing out the season, which, you got to respect him for, being focused on the task at hand at this point. I think as far as can we keep him, we're probably not going to be able to pay a guy as much as a P4 school. So at that point, it comes down to what P4 schools are offering, and it's probably going to be some behind-the-scenes stuff that none of us even know about, whether or not he wants to take it or not.
Something under the table?
Yeah, probably, yeah. So as far as whether we can keep him or, maybe for some reason he just finds a P4 job just completely undesirable. Again, it's probably for a reason that none of us are going to know about. So only time will tell if we're going to be able to keep him or not.
Yeah, and that betting favorite stuff was betonline.com. It's not like it was FanDuel or from your website. But, I talked about him at Oklahoma State earlier. I think the donors are willing to cough up the money. Obviously, with Gundy, it's been a little back and forth argumentative between the funders and Gundy and stuff like that. So I think Eric Morris would be willing to leave, but I think he'd be willing to leave bearing that Drew Mestemaker leaves, Caleb Hawkins leaves, Wyatt Young leaves. All these guys leave to where Eric Morris is going. I don't think he's willing to break up what he's got right here. He knows he's got a good group of guys, and I like what y'all said about he's focused on the task at hand. Yeah. I don't think these rumblings are really going to come out. Obviously, they're rumbling right now, but I don't think there will be any serious consideration until after the American Conference Championship, which we will be in and we will win. But if he were to go somewhere, I would like him to go to Oklahoma State, revive that program, be a real contender in the Big 12, and possibly be a premier program fighting for national or college football playoff spots here in the near future. I'd be surprised if he does something like he did at UNT, spend 3-4 years at UNT, rebuild this program, and now look at us fighting for American Conference Championship and possibly 12 bid in the college football playoff, and see what he can do at Oklahoma State in just 3-4 years. So it's sad that we're talking about some guy that we all love leaving and a mastermind of the quarterback position, offensive scheme of the ball, but it's a reality right now, but right now I'm focused on winning just like he is, I believe.
Yeah, and I think the Oklahoma State job makes a lot of sense just geographically. I think Oklahoma State and the Oklahoma Sooners historically have recruited really well in Texas, specifically in DFW. The proximity is relatively close. It just makes a lot of sense. And you know what? UNT has done everything that they can to keep Eric Morris around. There's a proposal on the board for UNT students' tuition to go kick up more to athletics. UNT seems to be taking college sports a lot more seriously, and that is a good thing all around, even though it might cost the students a little bit extra. Coming up next, we are going to talk about some of the biggest games in all of college football. Texas at UGA, OU at Alabama, Notre Dame versus Pitt. We will talk about it all coming up next.
What's wrong? Are you stuck in your paper?
Pretty much. I haven't written anything in like an hour.
Why don't you check out the Writing Center at UNT?
Well, how do I meet up with them?
All you have to do to make an appointment is visit the Writing Center's website and either call the number or email writingcenter@unt.edu. The appointment is 30 minutes long, and the trained tutors will be able to help with brainstorming, correcting grammar, ensuring clarity, and a wide range of services. They also do walk-in appointments.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna check them out.
So, when's this paper due?
30 minutes?
For more information, visit the UNT Writing Center's website.
Yeah, it's 6 pages.
Willis Library, located at the University of North Texas. It has computers, printers, and the building is open 24/7. By going online, you can book up to an hour of reserved space and one of the many private study rooms. Many of them are equipped with whiteboards, a table, and a TV to hook up to your computer. Textbooks can be checked out for free with a student ID. They also have many of these in ebook forms. This is still a library, so always remember to be quiet and respectful of other surroundings, especially in certain places where talking is not allowed. For example, the 3rd and 4th floor are completely quiet. As you can see, Willis Library has many options for students, with it offering many media sources and staying open all the time.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott. And now we get to break down some of the biggest games in all of college football this week. And we're going to start off with the biggest one, and that's Texas traveling to Athens to take on the Bulldogs. Texas enters this one as 6.5-point favorites. That number might have shrunk a little bit, but last time I saw it, it was at 6.5. This is a legacy game for the Texas offense, for Steve Sarkisian as a head coach. This is a team that they lost to twice in the 2024 season, the inaugural SEC season for Texas. And it was a little disappointing. And I think fans of Texas and I think the players and the staff were disappointed with the outcome. I think they were frustrated with the outcome. They get a chance to avenge it here, but now it's in Athens, and Kirby's got this team rolling here going into November. Josh, give me some of your thoughts about this one.
Yeah, this Texas game really kind of revolves around who you trust. Who do you trust more, Texas or Georgia? Look, Texas has found a way to win the last few weeks. Had a really nice win against Vanderbilt at home back at DKR. They had 2 overtime wins over Kentucky, Mississippi State, and going into even that further, the win over Red River, that kind of flipped their season around. Going into Athens, though, is a much different task for this team. You have to play a complete game. There's no doubt about that. And we kind of haven't seen that from Texas the last few weeks. Vanderbilt was a good game, but it wasn't really complete because that 4th quarter kind of ballooned a little bit for them. But overall, got to play a complete game. They're really healthy. Nobody on the injury report. Michael Taft's back. Ryan Wingo was a little banged up, but he's good to go. That really helps them in the situation. But really, it starts on offense. Kirby absolutely shut down this Texas offense the last time they played 2 years ago, or a year ago, sorry, when they lost twice. That was an experienced offensive line, and they really got to Quinn Ewers. They don't really have that physicality now, but this Georgia offense and overall team can adapt really well to who they're playing. So really, it's who you trust, and I'm flipping back and forth. I've been a really big supporter of Texas all year, even though they've not really lived up to what we thought they were going to be in college football. But I think this game is really just who you trust. Can Arch Manning be who you really need him to be? And I feel like you really need him to wear a cape in this game, just because, again, in Athens, in Georgia, you're not going to have bottles being thrown on the field this time. It's not going to happen in Georgia. Maybe it will, but who knows? Maybe it will. They're kind of rowdy up there in Athens. But overall, again, it's who do you trust?
I kind of agree with what you said about Arch Manning probably needing to put a cape on because since Texas joined the SEC, they have lost to 3 SEC teams, and 2 of them are Georgia. In those 2 games, they combined for 60 rushing yards.
Yep.
And that's when they were a good running football team.
Yeah,
which
experienced offensive line,
exactly,
good running backs.
Exactly. Only returning offensive lineman is DJ Campbell, as we talked about all season long. The good news is for the rushing attack is that they're probably going to be the most healthy they've been all year. C.J. Baxter a couple games back at this point. Obviously, Wisner is still in the rotation as he always will be. But Manning, I think you got to rely on him. I don't know that you're going to be able to run against that defensive front. As Josh was talking about, that Georgia front was able to pin their ears back and get after Quinn Ewers, last year, and really both of those games, but especially that regular season matchup in Austin. But at this point in the season, Georgia has only recorded 11 sacks.
Yeah.
That's 119th, in the FBS. So I think you got to rely on Manning in the passing game. Manning has been on fire the past couple of games, 674 and 6 touchdowns across the last 2 games against Vanderbilt and Mississippi State, respectively. So I think you got to rely on Arch Manning a lot. And on the flip side of things with Georgia's offense, Gunnar Stockton is taking great care of the football with 15 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. But contrary to Georgia's defense, Texas is like first in sacks with 34 all season. Colin Simmons has 8 by himself. That's a defensive front that can really get after you. So I think you got to really rely on, for Texas offensively, the passing game, and then you got to get after the quarterback on defense.
Yeah, and you're going to have Arch's legs back because you were kind of scared to run him in that Vanderbilt game, barely getting out of concussion protocol. So Arch's legs will be a factor again. Matthew, the A&M fan, what do you got on this one?
I'm not going to spoil who we're picking late in this game. We are picking that later. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I just think this is going to be a legacy game for Sarkisian and Manning, especially. Texas this year coming in, they're ranked number 2 or number 1 in the preseason. Yeah, 1. Houston was ready for that one, but they were ranked number 1 here in the preseason. They've stumbled early. They lost to Ohio State, which is not a bad loss at all. It's aging very well. It's aging as good as the loss of Kansas, number 1 team in the nation. Yeah. And then they also stumbled to Florida, which is a bad loss, but that is a very talented team, and that's you can't deny DJ Laddie was an electric quarterback. They got talent there. They're able to recruit from from Florida. But, I just don't know if Texas is ready for this. Their front has been kind of weak all year, rushing-wise. Georgia's got 500 more total rushing yards than Texas does all season. I think they're going to have to impose a run to be able to open up the passing game. I don't know if they've gone to overtime against Mississippi State and Kentucky, like Josh said. I don't think you can drag a game out against this Georgia team. Texas is kind of weird. They'll always play up and down their competition. I feel like y'all can agree on that, especially this season. Yeah. I feel like it's going to be a closer game. The lines have changed. It's now Georgia 4.5. Minus 4.5. So the books are kind of leaning Texas more than they were earlier. But I think it'll be closer than people expect. But I believe Georgia pulled out late, and I think it's just going to be the difference between the gridiron and the line of scrimmage. I think Georgia's more experienced and more physical, and we'll prove that here tonight.
Yeah, this is kind of weakness on weakness in this game. It's the Texas offensive line versus the Georgia defensive line. Texas, now I will say, last week versus Vanderbilt, they started Connor Robertson at center and Cole Hudson at left guard. That was the first time they ran that combination all season. Cole Hudson started the season off as your starting center, and they kind of flipped Connor Stroh and Nick Brooks at left guard, and it had been a disaster. They were some of the worst graded left guards in all of college football, dead last in the SEC, and they were giving up sacks to Mississippi State and Kentucky, who have had some of the worst pass rushes in all of college football this season. That seemed to get rectified against Vanderbilt, but you're talking about Texas body types versus Vandy body types. They're not comparable, and so I don't really know how good this Texas offensive line really is. Was the Vandy game an outlier? So far, statistics would show you that it was an outlier, but Georgia can't rush the passer. They just can't do it. They haven't been able to do it all season, and that's been a strength of this team throughout the Kirby Smart tenure. It's kind of an abnormality that they can't get after the passer, but Texas has let everyone get after the passer. Teams that, Mississippi State couldn't rush the passer all year. When Texas showed up, they got 6 sacks. So what version of Texas's offensive line is going to show up? If it's the one with Connor Robertson and Cole Hudson playing really good, then I think that Texas, can kind of weather the storm a little bit. The rushing attack's going to be inconsistent. It has been all year. You couldn't run it against UTEP. You're probably not going to find consistency against Georgia. Arch Manning has to put on a cape. Texas doesn't want that to be the case. They're going to do a lot of quick game stuff. They've really leaned on that, especially against Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. They got away from the play action drop back, seven-step drop kind of stuff. They've really tried to get the ball out quick. I think that has to do with the offensive line being so bad. Ryan Wingo, though, is back. He dislocated his thumb in the Vanderbilt game, but you saw in his 2 plays, he had 2 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. So that's an electric guy they got to get the ball to. Georgia wants to do the same thing. Yeah. They want to get the ball out quick. They want to get to Zachariah Branch. Colby Young is out with a fractured leg. That's going to be a problem. And so this is going to be a heavyweight fight between 2 elite programs, and this would be a season-changing win for Texas. And this would just be, solidifying an SEC championship game appearance for the Dogs. Let's move on, though, but stay in the SEC. Oklahoma travels to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama. This is a revenge spot for the Tide. They lost to this game last year. It eliminated them from college football playoff contention. You let Jackson Arnold rush for 150 yards on you. It was a gross game all around.
Oh, Lord.
Does Bama get revenge against Oklahoma?
You know, this game is interesting because I just looked at Houston's computer and he was scrolling through the ESPN stuff. And not to steal his notes or anything, but ESPN had Alabama, I don't know what the percentage was, but it was heavy favorites as Houston scrolls up to see what's the percentage on that.
71 for Alabama.
71 to roughly 30. So this isn't a game that I think if you look at it from outside the numbers, it can really be a close game. Alabama, look, they're great on offense. They're a good team, but they are kind of matchup dependent. Look, they can't run the football. We know that. And Ty Simpson's having to throw the football a lot. They struggle a lot against running quarterbacks on defense.
Yes.
They struggle against Pavia. They struggle against Castellanos. They struggle against Sellers. So they struggle against those guys. I just think with Oklahoma having that defense that's very good, that's up there in the nation's leading in sacks, up there with a very good pass defense, it's going to be a lot closer. But I do think, and Alabama struggled against LSU late in the game. And this is an LSU team that's on fire and honestly dead to rights at this point. Like, we know what they are.
Yeah.
So this will be a lot closer of a game rather than, Texas, Georgia, where we're kind of trying to figure out who's going to balloon over and who's not. But, we'll see later. But
yeah, no, I think that the running quarterback thing is real. That's been a struggle for the Alabama defense throughout the Keenan Womack era, or since Kellen DeBoer arrived and Keenan Womack took over the defense. They've struggled with running quarterbacks. Pavia was the most notable one in 2024 when they upset number 1 Alabama. And they haven't shown that they can rectify that so far. They struggled again with Diego Pavia this season. They had Vandy had 2 red zone turnovers that made that thing look a little, had some margin on the win. I think they ended up winning by 11. That game was much closer than what the score indicated. So they have to prove to me that they can stop John Mateer. I just don't know if Oklahoma is going to be multifaceted enough.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but
Multidimensional.
there we go, multidimensional enough. I don't think that they can do enough things offensively to really keep Alabama on their heels. I think Alabama's going to be able to play downhill. I think they're going to be able to get after Mateer. Mateer's been really bad in SEC play. He's 3-2 record-wise. He has one of the worst, downfield completion rates of any quarterback in the SEC since SEC play has started. They're averaging less than 2 points per drive, which is well below average. I think it's second to last in the SEC. So I just think that Alabama's going to be able to get after him this game.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking is where does OU find offense in this game, especially on the road? They're averaging less than 4 yards per carry on the ground, and then Mateer, pretty much 1-to-1 TD to INT ratio. So especially on the road at Bryant-Denny, where they haven't lost actually since Texas beat them there 2 years ago. So I'm trying to figure out where OU even finds offense in this game.
I don't know where it comes from, Matthew.
I like that take by Houston. OU has, we talked about Heisman favorites last week. Mateer was one of the favorites coming into the season, and he's been pretty quiet. Granted, he had that injury, but OU's offense has just been the definition of lackluster. It's been disappointing, to say the least. And I think we talked about Heisman spots last week. I think Ty Simpson can have a huge game, over 300, maybe 400 passing yards. I don't think this one's going to be that close. I think Alabama's going to get revenge and more. And I think this is where you're going to be scrolling Instagram and Twitter. See Ryan Williams with crazy one-handed catch. Like once a month you see a crazy Ryan Williams game. So I'd be surprised if that's the case this November. Then he kind of quiets out until December. But I think this could be a big game for Ty Simpson and the Tide.
Yeah, it has to be a big one for Ty Simpson. This OU defense is going to throw a lot at Ty Simpson. Brent Venables, say what you want about him, he is one of the best defensive minds in all of college football. He made things real confusing for Alabama teams back when he was at Clemson and they were winning national championships. And so it's going to be tough. We get to break down, though, some college football playoff predictions. We have the luxury of re-predicting things. It's really hard to get things right in the preseason. It's way easier to do it when it's in November. So we are going to re-predict our conference champions and our national champions on Big Game Day when we come back.
And I'm joining you here today in the Union parking garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my God! Oh my God! This girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened.
It's a lot.
Ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay?
Did you see that lady hit me with a car?
Yeah, we did. I got it all on video.
Oh my God.
Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that.
Yeah, not the hospital.
Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our mean green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
Has this ever happened to you?
My bike! My bike is gone!
Stolen
We can do it in
bikes are an
predictions.
epidemic sweeping college campuses across America.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
It's quite simple. The We Mean Green Fund has partnered with the UNT Police Department to offer free bike locks to any
They have
UNT
two
student with a
conference
bike.
also.
Just show up with your bike in tow and ask.
Now I'll never
got
lose
two
my bike
conference also.
ever again.
Enough worrying. Get your bike lock today.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott. We are going to re-pick the conference championships, the national championships. We've had, 3 quarters of the season to look things over, so we better get it right this time. Like I said, it's real tough to pick them in the preseason, so let's just do it again. Let's just give ourselves a second try because, Texas was the #1 team in the preseason, and they started off the season 3-2, so no one really knows anything before the season starts. Let's get right into it, though. The SEC. Josh, who do you think's, who's going to be there and who's going to win it?
This is so hard because you can pick like 3 different teams to be in here. For me, I'm going to go basic. I'm going to go Texas A&M and Alabama SEC championship. And Matthew's going to jump out of his chair when I say this. I think Texas A&M wins the SEC. I think that,
Oh my gosh, no way. Josh said it. Oh my gosh.
he finally got me to bite. But either way, look, I think this Texas A&M team is really good. I know that, Marcel Reed's been playing really well. This defense, with all of its flaws, if they play Alabama, Alabama can't run the ball. I just said that in the other block, but I think that's the kind of the best case scenario. I think this Texas A&M team is really good. I think really you could put Georgia in there as well. For right now, I'm just gonna be me, Texas A&M and Alabama. I think.
This A&M defense isn't like super like dominant like
No.
like the 2021 Georgia defenses or things like that, or honestly the 2024 Ohio State defense. But they are so disruptive. They get after teams. They just find ways to get after you and put you in undesirable positions. And it's been what it has to be for a Texas A&M. I think Mike Elko, that is Mike Elko's, his work. He's a defensive mind. Just super disruptive. They have impressed me this season as it's gone along. I think they started off really, really poorly. UTSA was able to run the ball against them, and I was like, man, I don't know what I think about this A&M defense, especially their front. But they've gotten better week after week, and they've put together some really good football games.
Well, I think for me, for the SEC championship game, I think it's going to be the same matchup that he had A&M and Alabama. But on the contrary, I think I'm going to go with the Tide in that one. The reason I went with that matchup specifically is just because, Georgia's already got the loss, and I kind of think Alabama and A&M are both in good spots to be able to potentially win out. I know A&M still got to play Texas, but I still think both of them are in good spots to finish with undefeated conference records. And I've just been a little bit more impressed with Alabama. I think that at this point they've had the tougher schedule than A&M has. And they've looked a lot better. They had the win over Georgia that really impressed me. I didn't think they'd get that win. I think all of us picked Georgia that week.
Yeah.
And,
we
It was
did.
that home winning streak that they broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I forgot about it. And that was also whenever you said if there's one game that we're all going to get wrong, it would be this one.
Yeah,
and then we did. So
I jinxed it. That's my bad.
Yeah. And I actually jotted down on my notes, gone are the days that I picked Georgia over Alabama. So, so for that culmination of reasons, I'm going
That's
with
bolded and
Alabama.
highlighted in his notes.
Yeah.
Matthew?
I think Alabama's almost locked into that spot. I think they got the easiest remaining schedule. I mean, I think the hardest game they're going to play is Auburn. It's just mainly because it's a rivalry game. Iron Bowl, you never know what's going to happen there. A&M, they got a pretty light schedule. They have South Carolina, which could easily be a trap game. It's at Kyle Field, which will definitely help the Aggies. And Samford, I know I gave Kirk Herbstreit a little he couldn't get that one on the broadcast, but it's okay. Then they got Texas at DKR. I was talking about Marcel Reed could have a Heisman moment there, but I think Alabama's safely locked in. I think A&M will also be there, not to sound repetitive, but I think Alabama could possibly win that game. I mean, I believe that they have had the harder schedule and they've had more dominant wins, but I think A&M's just different this year 2 under Mike Elko. I think they're ready. I think they're just so balanced. We talk about their defense. Nothing jumps out to you, but they're so balanced. Up front, they got guys like Cassius Howell, Deion Hayes, DJ Hicks, Albert Regis. In the middle, they have Damian Sanford, who's stepped up huge this year. I think he's been the unspoken hero. The A&M defense this year, obviously, Torrey New Yorker in the middle. Scooby Williams will be healthy. And out wide, they have one of the most underrated corner duos.
The blanket.
Yeah, the blanket. Willie, and then the transfer Desiree have been great. Then Dalton Brooks, a fake punt last week, he's been huge for them. Same with Marcus Radcliffe. And then Bryce Anderson's supposed to come back. He had that scary injury a handful of weeks ago. But I think the defense is just underrated, slept on. We talk about they get it done, but I think they're just so balanced in so many facets. And I believe they might have one of the best offensive lines in the SEC. All returners, and I believe 3 of those guys will be consistent starters in the NFL one day.
Yeah, no, A&M's a loaded team. They're stacked. I understand the pick. I got the same matchup. I'm going to lean Alabama just because, you know, I can't even say they've been there, done that, because this is a new staff with Kalen DeBoer. I'm going to be honest with you.
It's
you know,
that brand,
A&M fans talk about, like, battered Aggie syndrome, and, like, they're scared to, like, buy into the team. I'm scared to, like, buy into this A&M team and, like, predict them to do, you know, win the SEC. You know, they've never done it before. And I picked A&M last season to really break through. I was like, this team is stacked. I think they're going to win 10 games. I think they could fight for a playoff spot. And then they didn't. And from that point, I was like, I have to see it before I can pick it again. Like, I have to see it on the field before I can pick it again. So I'm going to pick Alabama to win it. But I really do think this A&M team's really good. And
hindsight, so 2020, though, not to interrupt you, look at A&M team last year. Their wideouts are Cyrus Allen, and I forget his name.
Noah Thomas.
Yeah, Noah Thomas. And then the transfer who was UDFA, made the Bears squad.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
I forget the move, but
Ja'Day Walker?
Yeah, Ja'Day Walker. But then Le'Veon Moss, who was a real carrier of the offense. He made everything work. Gets injured versus South Carolina. Connor Wegman.
A lot of things working against that.
Yeah, so, I mean, hindsight's 2020, but I understand where you're like, I was all in on Connor Wegman. But, you know, things didn't happen. He's doing really well at Houston now. I'm very happy for him, but you know, hindsight's 2020, and O-line is better now. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Mark Nabu had an ACL injury like week 2 or 3 last year, put him out for the whole year. So, you know.
Yeah, no, this A&M team is much more just well-rounded. Yeah, a lot of depth on this team. I like this A&M squad a lot. Big Ten. I think that this one's pretty cut and dry. I think a lot of us are going to pick the same things. Josh, you can lead it off.
Well, let's go with the Indiana Hoosiers versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. Of course, these are 2 of the best teams in the Big Ten. I think these are, of course, the 1 and 2 teams in the country. If I had to pick between one of them, I'm going to go with the Buckeyes, the Ohio State. I think that, again, they've just been great all year. They've been good from week 1. They're going to be good all the way through January, and I don't see this train slowing down anytime soon. I think with Indiana being a little banged up, especially right now, of course, looking to the future, they will be a little healthier, but they were down to their 3rd left guard last week against Penn State. That's a big thing, and they will be healthier, but Ohio State's just Ohio State. They're just dominant. This is the Death Star versus, you know, the planet that gets blown up in Star Wars. I'm blanking on it, but, you know, this is what this is.
Yeah, I think this matchup's pretty locked in as Ohio State and Indiana. I mean, I think some crazy things would have to happen for it to not be that. I mean, no, Ohio State, they'll probably lose to Michigan and
mess everything up.
Yeah, just, you know, completely make a liar out of me that time, but I think it's going to be Ohio State versus Indiana. I also think Ohio State's going to win. I mean, Ohio State, I know they've had the easier conference schedule than Indiana has because Indiana had to play Oregon, but Ohio State's been winning their conference games by an average of 26 points per game.
Yeah.
So just absolutely dominant versus where Indiana almost slipped up and lost to a pretty bad Penn State team last week. I think that wasn't it, where they had to get that crazy like toe tap. Yeah. So, and there's been a couple other games like that. I think against Iowa, they had a really close game where it's just like, I'm not just sold on Indiana. Similar to what you said about A&M, you got to see Indiana do it before you can pick them. So I'm going to go with Ohio State for that reason.
I wouldn't say Penn State's that bad of a team. You know, they have a bad record, but let's not act like they don't have a bunch of blue chip 5-star and 4-stars on that roster.
That was a roster game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why they play the game. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Here we see the highlights of this game. I believe that's Mendoza running into the end zone, lowering the shoulder. You know what I'm saying? But when we talk about this game, I mean, here Penn State running in, and it was at Beaver Stadium, which is whole another thing. That crowd is crazy. It's one of the most feared environments in all college football. So I believe it was a really good win for Indiana. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this because we know who's locked in. It's going to be Indiana, Ohio State. I believe Indiana is going to win the championship. I believe Kurt Cignetti gets it done. But I will say, if Ohio State loses to Michigan, I'll pick them winning the championship. If they don't, then I'll pick Indiana.
That makes sense.
So, but I do think it was a lot more impressive win for Indiana than people are giving them credit for. I mean, Gus Johnson needed a new pair of pants after the last drive of that game. They were talking about Heisman moment for Mendoza. I don't think that's a Heisman moment at all. Granted, it's a tough environment against a good team, but I mean, it was when you're in a close game with Penn State. I get they got all the talent on their team, but it's a broken record this year with them.
Yeah, I think Indiana and Ohio State is the matchup as well. I'm going to go with Ohio State. I know that Indiana has showed they could scale up. I'm still taking the Buckeyes in this one. Let's predict the 2 most unpredictable conferences in all of college football. Let's start it off with the Big 12, though. Josh, go ahead. I mean, does it matter?
I mean, you know, it's going to be Tech versus everybody else. Yeah. Whether it's BYU or Cincinnati, if it's BYU again, it's going to be BTA. I mean, that's how it's good. It was that last week. It's going to be that if they play. Cincinnati's also very good, but this Tech team is ridiculous.
Yes.
Rodriguez, the linebacker's up there for very high odds to win the Heisman, and I'm on that boat. I'm on that train right now.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what he said. It's going to be Tech versus pretty much whoever wins between Cincinnati and BYU next week. And we already saw what Tech did to BYU, and I actually think BYU is a better team than Cincinnati. So I think it's going to be a rematch of that. Tech just finishes with UCF and West Virginia, so I think it should be a pretty simple Tech win there against whoever comes out of the other side.
Yeah, Matthew, who you got?
I mean, we're watching the highlights right now. The score was 16-0 at one point. It wasn't a close game at all. There's an interception by Rodriguez, I believe, the guy Josh was hyping up. But I just don't think the Big 12 is very competitive right now. I mean, I still believe that conference is wide open. We see the oil money going to work. That team's looking like a well-oiled machine, if you will. I think Texas Tech runs the table, and I think they take the championship pretty easily. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a similar game like last one, where it's a bit of a blowout in the championship there at Jerry's World. So I'll go with Tech for them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Texas Tech as well. When Brendan Morton plays, they're beating teams by an average of over 30 points a game. And it just hasn't really been competitive. The D-line for Texas Tech has been mauling in the Big 12. That D-line might be able to maul a little bit in some of these other conferences too. Like, they got real dudes on that team that are going to play in the NFL. The ACC. The ACC is chaos. Let's pick it real quick. I don't even know who to go with. I guess Georgia Tech. Guess. I'm going to go ahead and say Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech versus Miami. Give me Georgia Tech.
Well, because Matthew made such a good point last week, he sold me on Georgia Tech, so I'm going to go with them.
Okay, Matthew.
Trendsetter over here. First of all, Miami is not making that championship game. They got 2 conference losses. They're sitting at like number 5 right now in conference. Duke really does shake some things up. I know we got to go quick, but I'm going to go Georgia Tech, Virginia, Chandler Morris, Haynes King. Love that quarterback matchup, and I'm going to go with Georgia Tech and staying on that.
All right, well, we will move on. We will talk about the upcoming game for North Texas against University of Alabama Birmingham coming up next.
TRIO is a federally funded grant program. It was funded in the 60s, and it supports student success and student retention. So we have a lounge, computer lab, free printing for our students. We also provide one-on-one advising services for our students, as well as career exploration and prep. Students who are eligible for TRIO include those who are first-gen, low income, or have a disability. They just have to meet one of those 3. There are many benefits to being in TRIO. Some of the general ones are the services we provide. The other benefits include creating a sense of community, a sense of belonging, and giving a safe space for students to come. Students can apply for a program by either coming in person and scanning a QR code, or they can also visit our webpage that has a direct link to our online application. And students need to know that we are here to help.
Hey. Oh, hey. What's up? Nothing much. I'm really bored. I feel like there's nothing to do.
Are you kidding? The MRTS picture show is happening.
The MRTS what?
Come with me.
Okay.
It's a series of free film screenings right here on campus.
And there's free popcorn. Nice. Thank you.
I'm your host, Wyatt Schott, joined here by Josh Ortega, Houston Hall, and Matthew McDowell. We're going to break down the UNT football game against UAB and take a look at how this thing's going to go. It's a clear disadvantage, or it's a clear separation between these two teams. North Texas is one of the best teams in the American. UAB's been a bottom feeder that fired their head coach halfway through the season. Trent Dilfert has been moved. They brought in Alex Mortensen, the offensive coordinator, to be the interim. They've been a little bit more competitive because this team was a dumpster fire under Trent Dilfert. Like, it was getting kind of sad just how bad they were. They nearly lost to Akron, and Akron's one of, if not the worst teams in the FBS. Probably UMass and then Akron for the worst teams in all of college football. And UAB messed around and almost lost to them at home. What do you think about this UAB team just as a whole, and what can we expect from them today?
Somehow this UAB team beat Memphis. I mean, that's college football in a nutshell right there.
Everyone sucks.
Yeah, that's college football in a nutshell. Somebody can beat anybody any given Saturday. Hopefully for UNT, though, this will not be the day as we see the UAB highlights on the screen. Look, realistically, this team has run through their quarterback, Jalen Quinta, and their wide receiver, Iverson Hooks. They are really the heart and soul of this offense. They're 4th in the conference in total yards in passing and yards per game. So that's really where they need to be. For UNT, though, they talked about it a lot in this press conference this week from both Morris and everybody around the program. Really need to play a consistent game on the road. That's the one thing. We felt kind of like this team has been very one-dimensional on the road. You know, you can go back to Western Michigan where they struggled to stop the run. You can go all the way forward to Charlotte where they were in a shootout. You really need a convincing win on the road to really kind of prove, not to yourself because you know who you are, but just kind of to prove, hey, we can win on the road. We can win big on the road. We don't just win big at home. We can win big on the road. That's going to be a big thing for this game. Obviously, it being in Alabama, it's going to be not the most hostile environment, but you definitely don't want to have this be kind of a slip-up heading into a pretty decent schedule at the end of November.
You know, winning on the road in College football is just hard. And you talked about there not being a good environment probably because, you know, there's not going to be a lot of fan attendance. That honestly might make it harder.
Yeah.
If you ask me, because you got to travel out to Alabama, go play UAB. There's not going to be anyone in the stands.
It's a weird place to play.
Stadium's going to be dead. Like, it's going to suck if we're being honest. And you have to hype yourself up. You have to be your own motivator. There's no external motivation for you. You kind of have to be your own motivator, and you have to go out there and perform. You talked about it, Josh. We haven't performed well on the road. We haven't looked good all season on the road. We started off slow against Charlotte, and they're the worst team in the American. We were down 17-7 in the first quarter in that game. And so UNT's got to prove it to themselves. They got to prove it to the playoff committee at this point that they can go out there and, you know, compete on the road and not sleepwalk through the first halves of these games.
Okay, for me, two things to start off. First, what you were talking about with that, you know, being on the road with there's no fans there. It's like playing a dang scrimmage. You know, like when you're in high school, like you play a scrimmage and you're just like dragging around and it's like hot and you don't.
Yeah, you don't want
like,
to be there.
Exactly, right. The second thing, I was just infatuated that we actually found UAB highlights. Because I was just mesmerized by the fact that they have highlights, in fact. So, but anyways, moving on. So the first thing that
we're gonna say all this and we're gonna lose.
No.
Put it in the air. Put it in the air.
You're talking crap about UAB and their athletic program. We're gonna go out there and lay an egg and lose.
Yeah,
put it in the air.
I'm looking at the spread of 17.5. I happen to know a team in the American who had a larger spread than that and lost to UAB. But anyways, I think something that's important to think about coming into this game is, I know earlier in the season, after we lost to USF, the big question was how are we going to respond because of last year and how we didn't respond well to the losses. And this year is totally different. You know, Messamaker had the 3 interceptions against USF, and it was kind of a question on how he was going to respond to that. He's thrown 8 touchdowns to just 1 interception in 3 games since then. And we have an average win margin of almost 29 points a game since that game. So we've responded well. I'm confident that the team's head is in the right headspace. Since UAB had that win against Memphis, they've kind of come back to reality with losses to UConn and Rice. You know, they're 106th in total defense, averaging over 400 yards allowed per game. So, you know, I mean, I think that this is pretty clear. I'm going to turn it over to Matthew before I accidentally spoil my prediction.
We are predicting this game later today, and just because of what White said, I think we know what my prediction is going to be. But I might change it just so we don't get the whole panel jinx. I mean, this guy White is over here jacking stuff up, but I think their loss to UConn is a better loss than like some people are saying. UConn is a very good team. They have a great quarterback who honestly could be in Heisman discussion. It just sucks.
Get out of my face.
Dude, he's got 0 interceptions. He's got like 20 some odd touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
UConn quarterback winning the Heisman.
UConn can play. You're right. UConn,
they are balling.
UConn can play. Like they're a real squad. They nearly beat Syracuse. They beat someone else just recently, but no, I'm not entertaining.
All right, never mind. Guess we're just, all right, let's.
Discussion.
I mean, we're in the middle of a block. I might just pull up their quarterback stats right now.
Do it.
I will.
He's typing.
All right, y'all go talk while I pull up these stats. Anyway, I'm going to just talk about, UNT so good. Caleb Hawkins is going to run for 150 yards, 3 touchdowns. Messamaker's going to throw for 400 yards. All right, back to you. I look at UConn stats.
While he's doing that, I actually thought of something just now while he was rambling on.
Houston, be quiet. All right, we got the stats up here.
Well, thank you for that.
So, this guy's name, Joe Fagnano.
What a guy.
This guy's got,
that's how you pronounce it.
Anyway, he's got over 2,800 yards on the season, 25 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a QBR of 71.8. This guy ain't a bum. 25 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. There's something to be said about that.
Where's he from?
He is from Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Shout out to Joey from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, man.
You're done, Matthew. You're done.
What, for reading out some stats?
You're done.
They just beat FIU. They just beat FIU 51-10. They beat Boston College 38-27. I mean, they beat UAB 38, obviously. Then they beat Duke, too, who's in the contention for the ACC Conference.
That's who I was thinking of. They beat Duke.
UConn ain't no team to sleep on.
No,
we're talking about
not.
UAB. We might be sleeping on UAB right now. We're talking about a team that's unrelated to UNT at all.
This block is falling.
Anyway, you know, White Young, Landon Sides, they're going to go get touchdowns. Messmaker, he's going to throw for 300 yards. Caleb Hawkins is going to break 100 million tackles this game. Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, what is going to be what is going to be the game plan for North Texas? Because we've seen them go at teams a couple different ways. They've emphasized Caleb Hawkins sometimes, and he's had games where he goes for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. And you see him emphasize Drew Messmaker the last time they were on the road, actually against Charlotte, and he throws for 600 yards. So what's going to be the attack strategy here for North Texas in the offense?
I think realistically, you're going to kind of see a mix of both. I think if you can use the pass to open up, or use the run to open up the pass, you can really kind of see. It depends how this game goes. Like against Charlotte, that game ballooned, so they had to throw the football more, and Drew had his wilt moment, but it kind of depends. We saw last week against Navy, or 2 weeks ago, sorry, not last week. My calendar's all off. They run the football a lot, so we could honestly see both. I think honestly on the road you're probably gonna run the football more than you pass. But then again, I said that against Charlotte, and look what happened. So.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but I've been told that we're supposed to watch out for some.
We got Houston insider
information.
Let's not
the Lamb to Kai insider. Whoa, let's get it, baby.
I've been told to watch out for some new trick plays, out of the Wildcat package and that type of thing. And
with Caleb Hawkins?
White Young,
former quarterback.
White Young, and there's some other new trick plays that I happen to actually seen the film of.
So. Don't give the UAB.
Doug, don't watch this.
That's hot stuff.
Yeah. So
straight out the oven hot.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah, I know this game's on ESPN Plus, but if you happen to have an ESPN Plus subscription,
how do you not?
Bum. Anyway.
Okay. Well, I don't know how to come back from that. So. Yeah, just keep your eyes open for some new trick plays in this one.
Matthew, what's the offense going to do to attack this UAB defense?
I think they just need to be balanced. I mean, UAB through the season, they only have 3 interceptions and 14.5 sacks. That's about 2 sacks a game, 1.5. I think the O-line should sturdy it up, and Messmaker doesn't need to turn over the ball. He does a good job not doing that, so don't do it today. Don't start a new trend. Hawkins run the ball, use the run to set up the pass. I think that's what we've done all year. I don't know why we would deploy some trick plays versus this opponent. If we would, I would maybe hope to save them for a bowl game or the American Conference Championship, which we will be in. But yeah, I can't top this Lamb to Kai insider information about White Young and their trick plays. So I don't know why you went back to me. Clearly, Houston is more knowledgeable on the subject than I am. But offense just needs to be balanced. Don't get away from what we're doing good and play ball.
Let the record reflect, I never mentioned Wyatt Young's name. That was him.
Yeah, actually you did.
Hopefully nobody from UAB is watching this.
Because he was like Caleb Hawkins, and you were like, and I said White Young. He was like, yeah, actually White Young. And White Young was a former quarterback.
Well,
so
maybe I did.
Keep that straight. Rewind the tape. We got this on recording, folks.
What am I gonna do with y'all?
We're gonna make some predictions coming up next, and we're gonna get
on.
It's
not time yet. Matthew has tried to hijack this block. I will not have it.
Well, sorry for reading out some UConn quarterback stats. He's nasty, bro. 25 touchdowns.
Joey.
Ryder Burton is gonna presumably be the starting quarterback for UAB in this game. They're without Jalen Kitna, and Jalen Kitna is a real player. He's a transfer from Florida, former 4-star guy. What kind of an impact does this have, with UAB bringing out the backup quarterback?
Having the backup, and obviously it kind of changes your game plan. Obviously, it's different with Jalen Kitna. So, really, it's going to be honestly feasting for this defense. UAB is up there. They have allowed the most conference sacks in the entire conference. So, our pass rush defensive line that we talked about all year could really feast today.
I like what he brought up about the sacks, because I don't know if it matters as much as we originally stated about the starter or backup quarterback, because they've given up 24 sacks across nine games. Doesn't matter who you have back there, if he doesn't really have time to throw. Even against the UNT defense that hasn't necessarily brought the best pass rush this season, if you're giving up sacks and he doesn't have time to throw, it's probably going to lead to some turnovers as well. So I don't know if the quarterback difference has that much of an impact on it.
Matthew, do I dare go to you?
I mean, I'm not going to act a fool here. One thing that does favor UNT is these guys aren't dual threat quarterbacks. Both of them have negative rushing yards on the season. Kitna with -44 and Burton with -4. So we don't really have to worry about that aspect too much. I think the defense just needs to play sound ball, not get caught with eyes in the backfield, give up some deep ball, anything like that. So hopefully get out after the quarterback, force 3rd, 7 and more, shut down the run, and we should be chilling.
Finally, it is over, and we can move on to predictions. Coming up next, we are going to predict all of the big games. All the analysts will give you their predictions coming up after the break.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroid can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and it's hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up.
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
Hey Alex, this guy on the internet says he wants to give me money.
That sounds suspicious.
What do you mean?
Typically, strangers who promise you money on the internet have their own best interest in mind. They often use bounce checks, which will disappear shortly after depositing, but not before they've asked for some money in return.
So he doesn't really want to spoil me?
No.
Well, then what should I do?
The best way to handle it is to block and report the suspicious message, or even consult local law enforcement if you've already fallen victim.
So I guess we aren't going to Key West for spring break.
No.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott, and now we get to predict all of the biggest games in college football. And coming up right off the rip, 11 a.m., Pitt takes on Notre Dame. And Pitt head coach Pat Narduzzi had some interesting comments to say about this one. We got that footage here, so go ahead and roll that press conference.
Controlling your own destiny. Do you feel like this is a must-win for this team when it comes to something to prove?
Absolutely not. You know, it is not an ACC game. I'm glad you brought that up. It is not an ACC game. You know, I gladly get beat 103 or 110 to 10 in that game. They can put 100 up on us as long as we win the next two after that. But again, our focus is on Notre Dame and getting as many wins as we can, one at a time.
I mean, I cannot believe that was, you know, AI is getting pretty good. You know, at this point, I'm sure a lot of Pitt fans kind of thought that was AI, but I'm an old school guy in a lot of ways. You know, when it comes to coaching, if I was a head coach, would not want to give my players an excuse to go out and kind of play bad. Look, you're playing Notre Dame. You got College Game Day. Oh, wait, we're not supposed to talk about them there. You know, at Pitt, yeah. Was some other random show on some random network that nobody watches. But overall, you know, getting back to this, like, you're in late November. You know, yes, you're not playing an ACC game, and you have Miami and, you know, Georgia Tech coming up, but you're playing Notre Dame. You know, like, this has implications for the college, you know, football playoff in some sort of way because the ACC is so wide open. Like, I mean, is any coach in any? I mean, this is like you're playing Idaho State. You know, they are the Fighting Taters. I should get their name right. You know, they like, I mean, come on. You know, like, this is a national televised game. You got some other show that does something on some network that I don't know that I guess had some beef with some other, you know, YouTube, you know, streaming service or something like that. Like, come on, like, you know, let's go.
Trash network, by the way.
I'm gonna push back against Josh. I'm gonna push back. I'm gonna be a Pat Narduzzi
He's gonna
truther.
jump on me.
I'm gonna be a Pat Narduzzi defender. I think that he's being tongue-in-cheek. I think that he's being silly. Pat Narduzzi's a hell of a coach. He's won a lot of games for Pitt, and that message is not being echoed into the locker room. That is, you know, that is for the media to, you know, go run with or whatever. He knows what he's doing. He's won a lot of football games.
Guys, this is what happens. We live in a digital age.
But he is being silly because, one, he thinks the format's stupid. He thinks the format's dumb with automatic qualifiers in the conferences, and he's making fun of Notre Dame for not being in a conference. So, you know, this is some gamesmanship by Pat Narduzzi. I don't take his comments real seriously. I think Pitt's going to come out and play. They might lose by 100, and he's actually right because they could go lose by 100 and then go win the ACC and just make the damn thing. So it really doesn't matter. So yeah, Pat Narduzzi, Pitt. Who do y'all got in this one? I'm gonna take Pitt. I think Pat Narduzzi's fun. I think that Pitt's gonna go out there and win this game. I think they can score. The freshman quarterback that Pitt started after they moved on from Eli Holstein is balled out. I know they've beat up on a bad ACC schedule, but I think Pitt has a chance to go and win this thing at home against Notre Dame.
I closed my laptop. That's how infatuated I was with that clip. I'm gonna go Notre Dame. You know, they have the #2 scoring offense in the last few games. I think this Notre Dame. You know, Pitt allows the most rushing yards. Obviously, they're gonna run the football with Jeremiah Love. Notre Dame. Just give me Notre Dame. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
I'm going to agree with Josh and go with Notre Dame. Like to touch upon his point with the way that Notre Dame's going to be able to run the football on Pitt. Jeremiah Love has almost 1,000 yards. He's 12 yards away from 1,000 yards at this point in the season. That's 5th in the FBS. I think that's important. And also, like you said, with the true freshman quarterback, big test against Notre Dame. Even at home, I'm not confident that in a true freshman quarterback to perform against Notre Dame, especially the way Pitt's only been running the ball with 3.7 yards per carry. So there's going to be a lot of weight on that true freshman quarterback to perform. So I'm going with the Irish.
Talking about quarterbacks, I'm not a fan of CJ Carr, but I am a fan of Jeremiah Love and Jadavian Price. I will be going Notre Dame, and I don't think it's going to be too terribly close.
Fair enough. Coming up next, American Conference action. South Florida travels to Navy to take on the Midshipmen. Who do we got in this one? I'm going to take South Florida to win and South Florida to cover.
I'm also going to take South Florida to win. I think what we did at Navy last 2 weeks ago, I think, kind of shows, obviously, of course, not to bring up any foul memories, but, USF, yeah, you guys know. We know what happened. BTA. Either way, I'm going to pick USF in this game. I think that it's going to be a really tough game for Navy.
I'm also going to go with USF. I know that statistically Navy has a pretty good rushing defense, but I think UNT proved that that rushing defense is vulnerable. And the way that South Florida runs the ball, they're averaging 5.8 yards per carry as a team. And then also at this point, I believe Blake Horvath is still out. You guys know the
I don't know Blake Horvath's status.
Yeah, I know he missed against Notre Dame. As far as I know this morning, he's not expected to go. So without him, I think it's just all the easier for USF.
Somebody call Pete Thamel.
I'll say it outright. I'm going USF. You can throw the graphic up down there, but I just want to go Navy so bad. I want to go Navy, so it makes UNT's path easier. So, I am going to go USF, but Navy, please prove us wrong.
Yeah, we need
Navy. Actually,
please Navy win, please.
North Texas needs a Navy win in a bad way. Unfortunately, don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. USC takes on Iowa in LA. We were talking about the weather in this one, and we told Josh, hey, it's supposed to be raining all game. He's like, it's California rain. Who cares? And then he's looking it up, and it's worst storm.
Okay, wait. I know California rain. In LA, I grew up there. I grew up there, bro.
Oh.
Don't we go how?
Idiot.
Come on, dog. Look, I grew up there. Every single time it rains. Look, I hope everybody in LA is safe and everything like that, and stuff like that. I hope the weather, nothing happens, everything like that. Preface that the first thing. Look, this is what happens. It rains and we get not even half an inch. It's how it's gonna be. Look, and if anything, that leads into my next point. If any game that we get wrong, hopefully it's a Navy one because UNT needs it, but it's this one, right? At the end of the day, this is an Iowa team. Look,
fast forward at it again.
How did we get the LA weather magic? That's what I'm saying. Shout out to the crew for pulling that up. Okay.
That looks like some serious.
Okay, I'm not a meteorologist, so I can't really read that. But look, at the end of the day,
that's ignorance.
It's not ignorance.
You don't want to read it.
No. I don't. Again, not a meteorologist. So what do you want me to do? It's like they're working on a car. You want me to go fix my transmission? I don't know how to do that.
I got USC in this one.
I'm going to pick USC, but I do feel like this is going to be a really close game, and that Iowa's going to probably do what Iowa does and force a bunch of turnovers. Iowa's probably going to throw a pick and then have to force it out of a defensive lineman's hands again.
Yeah.
I'm also going to go with USC for some reason. Him just saying that kind of makes me want to go with Iowa, but I am going to go with USC. I think they have the far more versatile offense. I know even though this game kind of favors Iowa because of the weather, like we were talking about, I'm going to go with USC.
When I was looking at this game, I was like, all right, I'm probably going to pick whoever's at home, and USC is at home, so I'm probably going to go USC. But it's been raining for 6 or 7 hours, so I wouldn't be surprised.
You're so shameless.
I'm so shameless. I wouldn't be surprised if Iowa takes this one.
It wasn't even. He didn't even try. He didn't even try. Moving on. Jesus. Alabama takes on Oklahoma in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I got the Tide rolling in this one, getting revenge against Oklahoma from last season.
I'm going to go with Alabama, too. I think that would be, again, another close game like I mentioned earlier. I'm going to go Alabama. I think they roll over Oklahoma here.
I'm going to just stick on the Bama train. I don't think that Oklahoma is, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think they're prepared offensively to, especially on the road, combat Alabama, so I'm going to go with the Tide.
I'm going with Alabama as well.
There's something wrong with you. Biggest game of the day. Texas takes on Georgia.
What do you mean? UNT's playing today.
Georgia in Athens. Graphics, you're going to be mad at me. I don't know if you changed it.
Oh, my.
I don't know if you changed it. I think Georgia's going to pop up for me, but I'm going to take Texas. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know.
This guy's not. This guy's
Our
not
TD
dialed.
just waved to me, and yeah, I'm gonna take Texas.
Shame, Wyatt.
I know.
Talk about last minute change. I'm gonna go with Georgia here. I like what Texas is. I like Steve Sarkisian. I like this offense. Alabama had to go into Athens and play a complete game. I'm just not sure this Texas team can do that. They played better than the offensive line. Just not sure you can do that against Georgia. They're a really tough team to kill. I'm gonna go Georgia.
I am also going to go with Georgia. Let the record reflect, though, that at this point I am 0-2 when going against Texas. Not to sway anybody's vote there because I'm very confident in this Georgia pick. But
interesting.
I am going to go with Georgia.
Graphics, we can throw up the picks. I know Wyatt already said he did it wrong. Anyway, I'm going with Georgia. And by the way, Josh gave Wyatt a bit of a hard time for switching up. Josh, you switched up your Pitt Notre Dame pick. It was wrong.
That was at night, though. That was at night. That was at night. That was at night.
That's on him.
That was at night. That wasn't. We weren't live when I switched it.
Shame.
No.
You can't be giving Wyatt.
No. We're not gonna throw me under the bus.
This guy's the host. I think he can do whatever he wants with you. Anyway,
that's a great point, man.
Just remind him how much power
Georgia. Stockton and the Dogs.
He didn't even show up in dress code most weeks, so he can do whatever he wants.
Okay.
UNT.
It's time. It's time. Let's pick it. All right, UNT takes on UAB at Alabama Birmingham. I got UNT big. I think UNT is going to run away with this one. I think UAB is kind of a dead team walking. They might be in quit mode. I think UNT wins. I think they cover the 16.5. Or is it 17.5 or 16.5?
6 or 17. You're 17.5. I think.
Why did I even ask? Why did I even ask?
You threw up a layup.
It's 17.5.
Get the camera off him, please.
Yeah, get the camera off. Josh, go ahead.
It's a good thing that there's no such thing as a college football draft because you could probably say UAB was tanking or is tanking.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go UNT again. High-powered offense, best offense in the conference for a reason. In Alabama, you're not playing the real Alabama. Let's be honest. I just made a lot of Birmingham fans really mad. But you know what? It's okay. UNT.
I think I kind of accidentally gave this away in my last block, but I don't think it's any surprise anyways. Okay. I'm also going to go with UNT. I don't know that UAB has necessarily quit. I just think that they're not a very well-coached football team and just, talent level compared to UNT. I just think the UNT runs away with this one.
I will say before I start talking, zoom in on Wyatt and Houston's ties. I don't know who's got mean green and UAB green on. That could be something going wrong with this one. Thank you, Steven, with the jib. We got Wyatt's tie over there. That might be a little more UAB green than UNT green.
I think it is, honestly.
Yeah, Wyatt's not dialed in today. I could have given him a tie or something. Houston is dialed. This guy Houston's dialed as all get out. Let's get it. UNT mean green on the road. They're going to win 52-20 UNT.
Let's all give score predictions.
40-17.
Houston.
55-14.
I'm gonna go 52-24.
I thought you were about to copy me there for a second.
Nah, I just think that UAB can score. I think anyone can kind of score.
I got them put up 20 points, 52-20. I mean, 20.
No, hey, we're right there, man.
Yeah, bet the over. Bet the over.
Thank you all so much for watching. This has been incredibly fun, incredibly chaotic, a little stupid sometimes. But don't worry, we're serious. We mean business.
Yep.
Thank you so much for watching. This has been Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, White Shot, and thank you for watching.